I am Blunty, and something occurred to me while I was streaming some Pokemon Moon yesterday. The chat room and I were discussing various issues, pros and cons, and hopes and fears about the looming launch of the Nintendo Switch. Amongst those issues, plopping itself down with an unpleasant wet sound in the pile of concerns marked moderately perturbing, is the fact that for the first time Nintendo are going to be asking for a regular fee for the use of all their online stuff. Much like, of course, Xbox and PlayStation already do and have done for a while now, PlayStation much more recently than Xbox. And indeed, once Sony started charging for their online feature sets, the online experience for end users went from a clattering, sluggish crap heap of awkward misery to a pretty decent system that actually works most of the time. But as bad as the free online experience was for PlayStation 3 users, at least Sony had been showing that they understood how an online service should work, even if theirs never really worked that well back in the day. Nintendo, though, suck at online. They have always sucked at it. Evidence points to the fact that the stubborn and arrogant grey-faced dinosaurs that run crap at Nintendo barely even understand what online means to the modern gamer. They can't even do voice chat. At no point in their history have they demonstrated that they've got any kind of decent grip or idea about their online services. They run like crap, the feature sets are so hilariously catastrophic as to tempt the thought that it is all some kind of elaborate attempt at satire. They've yet to show people they're even capable of making a comprehensive online service that's worth paying for. Yet here they are telling people that's just what they'll be asking of Switch players. This is perhaps why, for a short time after the Nintendo Switch launches, that their online service will in fact be free, switching to a paid service sometime in fall. More likely, the free introductory period is one of two things. Either we're all going to be beta testers while Nintendo desperately try to figure out how to get their online service working properly before they have the courage to ask for cash, or perhaps they've realized that there's bugger all content in the launch window to actually be used on an online service, so asking for people to pay for something that is basically useless is a bridge too far for even Nintendo's legendary arrogance. Let's not even get started on the wildly confusing way they're wording shit on their website about the Switch's online service, which seems to heavily imply the only way you'll be able to do the very simplest, most basic crap like voice chat and lobbies will be to link your Switch with another expensive mobile device, another app, on a smartphone. Because that is just so bewilderingly idiotic, I do have trouble believing that even Nintendo, with their infinite warehouses filled to the brim of military-grade foot bullets, would make the online service that biblically awkward. But it is Nintendo. But coming back to the beginning here, my sudden and depressing realization in the context of Pokemon and the Switch's online service, Game Freak have already confirmed that they're working on a Pokemon game for the Switch. Game Freak specialize in the core RPG Pokemon games, the real Pokemon games, not the spin-off stuff. So scuttlebutt is that their new Pokemon game for the Switch will be a third companion game to the recently released 7th gen games, Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. In fact, people data mining those 3DS games have even found evidence of high polycount character models and overworld Pokemon models, which may be there specifically for the Switch version, because they certainly weren't used in the 3DS games at all. It seems almost certain, in fact, that what is rumoured to be called Pokemon Stars will be an up-resed, enhanced, and perhaps even expanded version of Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon. A game which, with the exception of the first achingly plodding 90 minutes to 2 hours of the game, I have been enjoying quite a lot, so I'm pretty excited by the thought of Pokemon Stars on the Nintendo Switch. Except for the fact that online play, something heavily wrapped into Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon at the base level, not just for battling other people, but the global trading system and the Wonder Trade functions, both kind of essential if you want to actually fully explore the game, like being able to complete the Pokédex, which is impossible, absolutely impossible, with a single game without making use of the online functions. But online play on the Switch is paywalled. Does that mean Nintendo will skin every Pokemon player, $5 a month, probably $8 or $10 a month, once we're talking in the context of my own personal local currency and Nintendo Australia's penchant for massively inflating local pricing because fuck you. I am not terribly convinced that's going to sit well with the many millions of Pokemon players who for up to 20 years now have been able to buy their game and play their game and cooperate and trade and battle with their games freely. Well, I guess back in the day you did have to buy the link cable, but that was a one-off cost. And personally, I don't play much, if any, online competitive games. No MMORPGs, no online Call of Warfare, Black Slops Battlefield shooters. Certainly not on consoles, where if you don't pay, you don't get access to the online play at all. Aside from the fact that playing a first-person shooter with a thumbstick is stupid. PC Master Race. That kind of online stuff is totally worth a small monthly fee for the dedicated player to play on dedicated servers and have a proper online experience. But paying for exchanging tiny packets of data, which represent a Pokemon trade, I don't think that's worth a monthly fee. Certainly not the kind of monthly fee we're going to be talking about. I already pay about $7 Australian a year for access to Pokemon Bank, an online Pokemon storage facility with very large capacity that makes it relatively pain-free to move large amounts of Pokemon between my own games without having to do it one at a time, like in the bad old days, and I'm perfectly fine with paying for that. It's a fair price for a small, convenient service. No worries. But will I still have to pay for that also alongside the Nintendo Switch's monthly stipend for the huge privilege of mobile phone-based voice chat, a borrowed emulated NES game a month, which you don't get to keep, and of course, online play? Are Nintendo going to double dip on this? Probably. They are well-known bastards after all. But perhaps, as is the case very occasionally on consoles, Pokemon Stars will be allowed to use its very basic and very small data volume online functionality without asking Pokemon players to pay server rent. I wouldn't count on Nintendo for that, but maybe Game Freak have enough brains to put their foot down hard enough when Nintendo starts insisting about what a ridiculous amount of money they could stand to make from the comparatively vastly light server load of a few kilobytes here and there in a fistful of seconds that a Pokemon trade consumes when compared to the hours and hours worth of constant traffic an online shooter or some such would require. Doesn't quite seem fair to us those two very different kinds of players to pay the same fee, does it? So, are you prepared to pay rent for the privilege of Pokemon trading? You know the drill. Do the thing in my down below area, drop the comments, do the thumbs, praise Helix. Thanks for watching, I am Blunty, and I will catch you next time.